Welcome to Veterans Perspectives. This is Jeff, and we are here finally with part four of our AI and education series, The Future Proof Student: What Schools Should Be Teaching But Aren't. Brought to you today by me, your sponsor. As you guys know, my wife and I have an Etsy store. I will leave the link down in the description. JK Prince Gifts. My name's Jeff. Her name is Carrie. JK. We create the designs for t-shirts, cups, sweaters, all kinds of stuff. I even have templates for teachers and students and parents to use for different forms of educational pursuits that are there on our Etsy store. So jkprincegifts.etsy.com. I will leave the link down in the description. Check it out. Get yourself something today. Free shipping on all products always. We do use a print-on-demand company to print our shirts and our mugs and sweaters. But we create the designs ourselves. Just we can't hold all that inventory. So, but that's just me being fully transparent with you guys. So check that out today. All right, let's get started. This comes directly from the newsletter blog post on Veteran Perspectives on Substack. I will leave the link to the article down in the description. This is part four, the final part of our Education AI series. For now, we'll come back to different aspects of this because it's such a hot topic right now, and I like talking about it. So, we've spent three parts of this series calling out failures and resistance of academic establishment when it comes to artificial intelligence, to AI. Okay. Now let's pivot to my favorite part, the solution. I learned a long time ago we can moan, bitch, and complain about the problem, but if we don't come equipped with solutions, then you're just a whiner, right? Because we're looking to solve the problem. Okay. So the question that we're looking to answer is, what does a future proof student actually look like? What skills do they need to survive and thrive in an AI powered economy? And why are schools with their outdated curricula and fear based policies actively failing to produce these solutions? Okay, so we're still calling out education. Those of you that don't know, I am a former educator. I taught social studies for 10 years. I was an instructional coach for 2 years before I left the educational field. The answer to these questions at a base level is simple. The world changed, but education didn't. Okay, I say this all the time. Education is old. It's rooted in the past. They think that stuff that simply isn't is innovative, right? Our schools are still designed to produce factory workers for the 20th century, people who could follow simple instructions, memorize facts, and perform repetitive tasks. The problem in an AI powered economy is that AI does all of that better, faster, and cheaper. Okay? The mission of education is no longer about filling a student's heads with facts. We can get those from our cell phones. Okay? It's about equipping them with the mental toolkit to navigate a world where facts are instantly accessible and the only constant is change. This leads us to the irrelevance of rote memorization. Okay, now, when I talk about this, I'm not talking about K1. K1 is different. Heck, go on to any campus and K1 is treated different, right? By leadership at the base school level, at district level, even by boards. Kindergarten, especially, is a different entity. That is an introductory year, especially now where so many students do not go to daycare because that's been price gouged to death and parents can't afford it, right? So that introductory year is teaching students how to act around other kids that they're not used to being around, right? how to find your seat, where to put your backpack. Then we get into the ABCs, the 1, 2, 3s, reading, math, basic writing. Okay. I'm not talking about that for those kids, although so many of those kids could use these cell phones a lot better than probably most adults these days. So, thinking about my time in the service, did I have to memorize every single spec of every piece of gear? No. Did I have to learn where to find the tech manual? Sure. How to interpret it? Yeah, if I was using that piece of equipment, and how to apply the information in a dynamic situation. Yeah. Our schools are still obsessed with rote memorization. They teach kids to regurgitate facts for standardized tests. Even the way these tests are written by the testing manufacturers is all about regurgitation. It's not about being innovative in any way. In any way, even the written prompts, right? 90% of tests are multiple choice, right? There is a writing test, but it's a manufactured prompt that's going to give them the same answer from every kid. So they're easy to grade. Okay. They teach kids to regurgitate facts for standardized tests, only for those facts to be forgotten the moment the test is over. It's a waste of precious cognitive bandwidth. In the AI era, memorizing trivia is a pointless exercise. You might get on Jeopardy. That'd be cool, right? But you could ask any AI any functional question and get an answer in seconds. We've known this before AI became huge with Google, right? Google it. The future proof student doesn't memorize, they interrogate. They should know how to AI prompt effectively. Ask the right question to get AI to generate useful information. This is a critical skill that requires clarity, specificity, and an understanding of what information you actually need. Do you know how many writing standards that I just covered at the high school and middle school level? For my ELA teachers, tell me down below, how many standards do you think I just covered with that one statement? Because I bet it's quite a few. Verify information. AI is not always correct. It hallucinates, right? It makes stuff up, right? The future proof student knows how to cross reference, how to identify biases, how to separate fact from algorithm generated fiction. That's called synthesis of materials. Again, I'm hitting standards. That leads me to my next point: synthesize and connect. Taking pieces of information generated by AI and or found elsewhere and weaving them into a coherent argument, a new idea, or a viable solution to a problem. This is where true intelligence lies. Okay? It's not shunning AI because, oh, they're going to cheat. It's teaching them how to use it effectively so they can generate a new idea or a new solution to a given problem. So, from compliance to creativity, the current education system, it doesn't often reward compliance like I wrote in my newsletter. It straight up rewards compliance, right? Do what the teacher says, follow the rubric, do not deviate. Go to work, stand in your little lines, stamp your license plates, do what the bosses say, blah, 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 blah. This produces good soldiers for an industrial economy that doesn't exist. Or at best, it exists in a very minute sense in a modern day United States. It produces terrible innovators for a creative economy. And for my educational leaders out there, and I know there's some of you that watch this podcast because you message me. Look at your mission statements. I'm going to keep coming back to those because you make teachers write objectives on the wall, right? Principals, superintendents, you make teachers write objectives on the wall. Your mission statement is your objective for that school and that district, right? You're not living up to it because 99.9% of them have something about preparing kids for the future when you're blatantly ignoring the future that is already here. The future proof student needs to be a problem solver, not just answering questions with regurgitated facts, but identifying questions that haven't even been asked yet. Using AI to brainstorm solutions, then critically evaluating those solutions. We talk about student agency all the time, which is one of the biggest lies in education. Okay. Student agency is when students are given choice in their education, but then the education system that tells teachers to give their students agency, but then say, no, we got to stick to the curriculum. Well, what the fuck? That's not agency. That's pretending that students have a choice. That's letting them pick their group mate if they didn't get in trouble at lunch recess that week. That's not educational agency. That's social agency. Those are two vastly different things, okay? Future-proof students need to be a collaborator. AI is not a replacement for human intelligence. I never once claimed it was. It's a partner. The future-proof student understands how to work with AI, treating it as an intellectual sparring partner, not a crutch. And this is where teachers and leadership that is bought into the use of AI actually learns how to use it themselves and then learns how to teach it has to be able to show students how to do this appropriately. And the future-proof student needs to be an ethical navigator. This one's probably my favorite one. The ethical implications of AI are enormous. That cannot be ignored, right? The future-proof student is taught to consider privacy, bias, and responsibility in their use of these powerful tools. This is where human values become paramount, right? Now, human values are subjective, right? There might be some basic things that most humans agree on, right? But there are some moral differences between different human beings, right? And students have to be able to learn how to be their own ethical navigator based off of their morals and their use of AI. The true mission readiness for life. As a veteran, as a dad, as a former teacher, I understand that mission readiness, okay, it means you have the skills, the tools, and mental fortitude to adapt to any situation that the enemy throws at you. Okay, that's a simple definition of mission readiness. Okay, our schools are failing to provide mission readiness for life after graduation. Failing to do it. They are sending kids into an economic battlefield, like we discussed in part 3, with skills that were obsolete before they even earned their diploma. They're obsolete right now, and schools know it as they're teaching it. They know it. And if they claim they don't, then they should be thinking about the type of funding that they're taking from the taxpayer because they're not doing their jobs. It is time to demand a new curriculum or a new subset to the curriculum for all students. Remember that equity we talked about. Teaching prompt engineering, make it a core skill like reading and writing. Pretty sure you could incorporate reading and writing into prompt engineering. You need to integrate AI into every subject. Every single subject. Oh my God, Jeff, how could you say something like that? But the arts, the arts, the arts. I do not care. From using AI to simulate historical debates, like I have a constitutional audio guide where I wrote the script for a debate, okay? And then I used AI to facilitate that debate between two people within AI. It's in my Constitution guide that is sold in my Etsy store. You could use it in your classroom. To generating scientific hypotheses or even composing music. Focus on project-based learning. Districts and schools have touted PBL, project-based learning, for about a decade now. And I've seen it work very few times. Very few times. AI can help with this. Give students complex real-world problems that require them to leverage every tool at their disposal, including AI. This is where your stakeholders need to get involved, your parents, your community, your board. What issues is the community having, and how can students help solve them? Sounds like a really good project for a social studies class. And this curriculum must emphasize human skills, creativity, critical thinking, the real kind, emotional intelligence, collaboration, and ethical reasoning, all of which I'm certain are required for the job market in the modern era. These are skills AI simply cannot replicate, no matter how hard you prompt it. Could it happen in the future? Certainly. Okay. But right now it cannot. And these skills, these human skills, will be the most valuable. In conclusion, the fight for the next generation. This is not just about technology. This is about the future of our children, the future of our job market, the future of job availability and equity of that availability, right? This is about ensuring that our young people are equipped to lead, to innovate, and to build, which is what schools are supposed to be preparing them to do. And right now, they are failing to do so, and they have been for a long time. Right now, schools, for all of their good intent, and most of them have good intentions, they are leaving students behind. The academic leadership can either adapt or they will become obsolete. And the students will be the ones who pay the price for their arrogance and their fear. Boards at the state level and district level, superintendents, principals. Are you going to be ignorant and arrogant and fearful? Or are you going to be innovative and actually help students approach these things appropriately, properly, and within the learning environment? That's your choice. There is no middle ground here. There's no halfway house here. It's time to take command of our children's education and ensure they are future proofed and not future damned. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe to Veterans Perspective. Make sure you guys like and comment below, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you.